Talking about strategies and resources. It's really like applied strategies and resources, but because behaviors tend to present an interesting challenge in developing relationship, that we wanted to talk about it early on in the day on understanding autism, because it's a part of, we're asking you to engage in relationship. I mean, that's what we're about as church, is relationship. So in order to engage in relationship with someone, we must understand. And first of all, to know that for all people, behavior serves a function. And, MEETS is a very simple acronym to be able to remember. And when you're thinking about it, medical, E for escape or avoidance, A for attention, T for tangibles or concrete activity, and then sensory stimulation. So if there's a medical issue, and I'll give you an example from personal. My son was diagnosed with ADHD at 4.5. He's 23 now and graduating from college in December. But when he was younger, before ADHD was diagnosed and before his chronic sinus condition was diagnosed, he used to have extreme behavior issues. So if you got a lot of things going on, you got ADHD, you got a little boy with growing testosterone levels and expressive language not where his mind was. We had some tough days. And until we finally were able to diagnose the sinus infection. What it was is his sinuses were too small. And so there was this great blockage going on in the back that we were not aware of prior to him having an MRI to diagnose at 4.5. So once we were able to diagnose that and also his allergies, it didn't solve everything, but it did help. So is there a medical condition going on? Escape or avoidance is, if someone doesn't want to do something, if they're afraid, if you're having everyone read and they don't want to read, they're probably going to, just before you get to them, they're going to figure out a tactic. Attention is, am I getting enough attention? Are you paying attention to me? And if my son in first grade, if he wasn't able to answer questions appropriately when he was put back in the ozones of the classroom because he wanted to answer too many questions, he became a class clown. So how are we enabling positive ways to get attention? Tangibles or activities, self-explanatory. What would I like to be able to, am I thinking about using my iPod? Do I want to go play with my friends, get pizza? And then sensory stimulation, or some things are very comforting. Joseph was talking about echolalia or hand flapping, some things that it could be like when someone is feeling stressed, those symptoms will be more pronounced. And so understanding that, that's this indicator. And here we've got some pictures to talk about understanding behaviors again a little more. This is from one of my favorite artists, again, Justin Khanna. Clearly not liking, this is I hate carrots. I'm sorry, the text didn't come. I hate carrots, and ABC refers to antecedent, behavior, and consequence. So when you've got a situation going on, try to think about, okay, what's the ABC here? What's happening? We've got the antecedent, carrots going in the mouth. Here we've got the lower one, I love this. The big arm is reaching with the remote control to shut the TV off. And, the behavior in Justin is extreme anger. And what happens, by the way, sometimes when our kids are very resilient in their determination to voice their frustration with something, do we sometimes give in to them? Do we sometimes say, oh, okay, and actually we wait till it has escalated to the point that we just have to give in, because for survival's sake, right? So that's the consequence. So what is the consequence of the behavior? Is there a positive flow of antecedent behavior and consequence? And so if you're actually reinforcing the negative behavior, then think about changing the consequence. And here another one, we've got frustration with homework. So just in summary, lacking when we're dealing with behaviors that are very challenging for a group situation, try to take a step back and instead of reacting, are my expectations too high? Is there appropriate support? Is there not a way to get access to some desired activities? And you could actually, and again, they'll be going more into the third set in the last session of the day, but wait for someone to appropriately say, I need a break. It's okay. Remember, we're not, the goal is heaven. And while there's a lot of material we like to share during our catechetical programs, it's really about being the body of Christ. Lack of attention. Am I appropriately engaged with, does the catechist have enough support with able to attend to all of the kids or teens in the group? And also, if we aren't prepared, if we're disorganized or not prepared, and as Joseph was talking about the need for routine, that can also have an impact on behavior. So one of the things, I'm going to show you two very simple strategies for dealing with behavior issues, an appropriate way for someone to learn to, get a go pass, to be able to escape and maybe just calm down a bit. If it's too noisy, there are four choices. I can go to a quiet area. I can visit Miss Ann. I can go for a walk. I can listen to music. Those are acceptable options when it's too noisy. Instead of what's not said is the negative alternative. I won't kick the kid next to me. I won't throw a book at somebody. I won't, scream or kick. So providing the positive choices. You could also provide it in text. Again, it's what are the abilities and needs of the learner. So to go for a walk, go to a quiet place, visit Miss Jessica, read a book, listen to music. And if I do this, I get to play kickball. So there's that reinforcement, which I'm going to be talking about as well. What is someone's motivation? It's very important. I mean, all of us, as we said, behavior serves a purpose for all of us. And there is something we learn, we perform, what we're motivated for. So identifying, and what is going to reinforce that, the desired outcome. So a reinforcer is going to be something that increases the likelihood of the particular response in the future, into the future. And you can either be positive or negative, and that means either you add something or you take it away. For example, my son Greg, at an early age, we not knowing any of this, but had a motivation system for him. And after trying, being able to watch money didn't work. Earning money, watching TV, those didn't work. Buying toys didn't work. We had 4 things he needed to do. It was make his bed, set the table, do homework, and have a good attitude. Ultimately, it was having a later bedtime. And then when he was in 4th grade, getting rid of the chart was his motivation. So initially, the positive reinforcement was the later bedtime. Then when we took that, at that point, it was taking away the chart, so the negative reinforcement. And then when he was in high school, it was being able to get his driver's license, being able to drive a car. So we were able to kind of go along but tapping into what motivated him. Christopher, that we worked with teaching to attend Mass. Well, his favorite cookie lost its value for him. But being able to listen to an iPod for 2 minutes at a time, that was very reinforcing, so that was helpful. The delivery just refers to how much you do it, how often you do it. It could be, in the beginning, for someone that's very involved on the spectrum, that is learning a difficult behavior for them, it can be immediately. It can be giving them an M&M every minute when something appropriate is happening. But then that gets faded out, and over time you do back away from it, so you don't want to stay with it. Primary reinforcers just refers to something that is, this is very basic bodily needs: water, food, heat, those kinds of things. And then the secondary reinforcers are the ones that we learn. They're social. Actually, with the one go play kickball, that was actually out of Ben's repertoire, and that was social because he liked the teacher he was going to be playing kickball with. But then it's also a tangible activity too. Or else, like in our system, money is a generalized reinforcer because we can do things with money. It provides us with power and opportunity. This is one example of a choking board. It's a very portable, small in a wallet. It could also be on something on a small clipboard. And I actually have one of the smaller ones with me. I can show later if anyone's interested, but it's not something that you have to worry about that you're not a professional doing it. It's something that if the individual you're working with is used to using a token board system, then he or she is already cued into it. And so all you're doing is just reinforcing that experience, but it's simple. So what happens is right now the board is full. You start off with them all over on the left. And periodically, what I would do, as I said, when I was working with Christopher, periodically, I would just put one over. In fact, Christopher actually liked to apply it once he saw it was going over there. And then when it was full, he got to listen to his iPod. But if while I was in process of doing that, his behavior changed to off task, then I would bring it back over, because it would catch his attention. So I didn't have to tell him anything at that point, because he was already aware that, oops. So that's the other part of it. The reinforcement, has to be paired with appropriate behavior.
And you were saying before that to change it, if it no longer motivates,
right.
Then we will change it.
Right. Yes. So always assess and reassess. Something else that is very helpful is prompting. And actually, so when we prompt someone, we're used to this, in Mass, right? When the presider or the choir leader raises the hands, we stand. So we're all used to some type of prompting, a touch on the shoulder. But it's very helpful. Individuals with autism will particularly need it, as Joseph was saying. They're not cued into the social cues, or may not be responding to things in the environment that we want them to pay attention to, that they're expected to pay attention to. So the prompting will help do that. But the thing is that you want to be in the background, allow the individual the opportunity to actually stand when they're supposed to, or to reply when they're supposed to, or to bring their hands together when they're supposed to. Allow that opportunity, but not wait too long. So if they're missing it, like about 15 seconds, if this is a new skill that they're learning, then within 15 seconds you do want to prompt them. And again, then move back. Because again, the goal is independence. The goal is not for us to become permanently attached to each other. And again, remember to fade. The goal is independence. The goal is not partnership. It's a partnership, but it's not us being permanently attached to each other. So this is a list of different types of prompting. And we have, it's the gestural, which is a simple tapping on the shoulder, or it could, and also like standing to raise, or bringing your hands together for prayer hands. Modeling is when we make the sign of the cross and following it, or how we do any particular skill. We're modeling that for someone to be able to imitate. Verbal is specifically saying what to do. Stand. This is time to stand. This is time to walk to the door. Physical would either be, this is actually either a light touch, could be prompting, it's time to stand, or this would be what's called the full physical that you see Mary Beth with Ben. She's actually got her hands holding Ben's forearms, not hard, but just enough to him to feel her hands and to help him bring it up, because we were actually praying, a bodily version of the Our Father at that point. Textual, just simple cards, time to stand, to say stand, amen. It could be in a picture missile, or just words in a missile that says what positioning. And photographic, we saw just a picture of what you're actually supposed to be doing. So pictures of people standing or sitting, if that's what's supposed to happen at that point, making the sign of the cross.